First of all, let it go.
Just give me a couple of minutes. We are configuring YouTube live. Still some things need to be done.
Yeah. See, this will also create some fine. If this is muted now, YouTube will not create the sound. Now we go to Zoom. Okay, when you want to stop, click here, move, stop live.
And then I go there and
no, we don't have to do it.
I don't need to do it.
Just have stop live and end meeting.
So that's it. So I think
yeah. So every time you want to start the meeting, click this.
That's all.
That's
how do I make these people automatically enter into waiting room? Why all the time it's happening?
No, it's having the one meeting starting.
This is the only way.
When you start the meeting, on the settings,
Isn't there an automatic?
Yeah, you have to make it automatic. Yes. Then every day
then from that time onwards, it's always.
Do one thing. You can go there in the participants. Click on the participants. Yes. Participants. Here. Enable waiting group. Click it. It becomes disabled.
So what does that mean?
Now waiting room is nothing else, so nobody has to wait for waiting room.
Okay, this YouTube live, how they can see it and where they can see it?
On channel.
On Bhagavata Chatushpati channel.
Yes.
Right. Where are we? Okay, am I audible? That is the first question I have. Can you hear me?
Yes, bro. We can hear you clearly.
All right. Okay. Fine. This is where we are. Just give me 1 minute. Let me. Why am I here? I'm not meant to be here. I'm not meant to be here actually. I'm meant to be here. Text 27, 25, 26, 27. Looks like this is a long chapter. Saparikar, Shri Bhagavane Jugadharma, Shri Nam Sankirtan Palama. So Shri Bhagavan, along with his associates, carry out the Yuga Dharma, which is Shri Nam Sankirtan. Holy ji ke Sankirtan Dharma Pali Vare, Avatirna Hoila Prabhu Sarvopari Kare. In Kali Yuga, the Lord incarnates with his associates in order to maintain the religious principle of Sankirtan. The word Sankirtan refers to loud congregational chanting of Taraka Brahma, the holy names that deliver one. The Taraka Brahma names contain knowledge of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. The Lord's holy names are compared with the bud of a flower. From the holy names, the Lord's form, qualities, associates, and pastimes gradually unfold. Okay, this has to be explained. In Bhakti Sandarbha, in the description of Navavida Bhakti, spoken by Prahlad Maharaj, Srila Jiva Goswami has provided a commentary in Krama Sandarbha. And that has been often quoted by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it is based on that, on a certain principle that Prabhupada also based his It became the basis of Prabhupada's preaching methodology. First of all, we have to offenselessly hear and chant the holy names of Krishna. Then, the spiritual holy name that is heard in the spiritual world, which is inaccessible to our material ears, becomes accessible to us. So that is called revelation of Krishna's holy name. Then the next step is Krishna's holy form. So the Jivatma's spiritual eyes are manifested. Right now we are seeing Krishna's deity form with our material eyes. But when our spiritual eyes become manifested, then with our spiritual eyes, we are able to see Krishna's spiritual form. So Krishna is in the spiritual world, but we are able to see him with the eyes of the soul. In the heart, with the eyes of the soul, we get to see Krishna. So that is called revelation of Krishna's form. Then with the spiritual mind of the spirit soul, we get to understand and perceive Krishna's qualities. Similarly, one experiences Krishna's associates and Krishna's pastimes. So this has been outlined in Krama Sandarbha to the shloka Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam. But it has also been elaborated in Madhurya Kadambini of Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It comes from the holy name. Actually, Srila Jiva Goswami also notes it is possible for the sequence, for one to go out of sequence, but that's called Vit. But this is the standard sadhana krama. Sadhana krama means first you should do that by which Krishna's holy name will be revealed to you. Then one should do that by which Krishna's holy form will be revealed. Then do that by which Krishna's qualities will be revealed. Then do that by which Krishna's associates will be revealed. Then do that by which Krishna's pastimes will be revealed. This is what is called development of Prema Bhakti. So this is called a sadhana krama. But one can also go out of sequence, he says, but nevertheless, first of all, one should attain purification of the mind by chanting the holy names. So he says that first step of chanting the holy names until we attain purification of heart, that cannot be taken away from its first position. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spreads Nama Sankirtan, it is understood that from Namopalabdhi, realization of the holy name, one has to move on to Rupopalabdhi, Gunopalabdhi, Parikaropalabdhi, Leelaopalabdhi, realization of experience of each of these. This has to be revealed to us. This is not a matter of imagination. We cannot imagine these things. It's not that meditation and all that. It's a revelation. So therefore, the Lord's holy names are compared with the bud of a flower. From a bud, gradually a flower unfolds. That is why Namacharya Sri Thakur Haridas always chanted the Taraka Brahma Mahamantra for everyone's benefit. Those who have recorded the transcendental activities of Sri Gaurasundar have specifically refrained from describing his pastimes of giving formal initiation to anyone so that no one would glorify him only as a guru who gave initiation into the Mahamantra. Notice that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not be considered only as a mere guru. He is a supreme being. As a supreme devotee, the devotees of Sri Chaitanya are initiated into the chanting of this Mahamantra and always chant loudly as well as softly in a secluded place. The word Sarvapari Kare indicates that the 5 types of Krishna devotees neither considered the incarnation of Vipralambha, Sri Gaurasundar, as the object of Madhura Rasa, nor did they assist him in conjugal affairs in the course of his magnanimous pastimes, Audarya Leela. Rather, they nourished his feelings of separation from Krishna by helping him cultivate those mellows. Those who want to contradict the Gaura pastimes of the supreme shelter Krishna by putting a flute or cowherd stick in Gaurasundar's hands, imposing the mood of a paramour on him or considering him the charioteer of Arjuna can never be counted amongst Gaura's associates or servants. Many damsels from the sweet pastimes of Krishna have displayed their service to Gaura by accepting male bodies in Gaura's pastimes. Therefore, external appearance and activities are irrelevant in their service to the Supreme Lord. Then, Bhagavad Avirbhaver Agre Nitya Parshad Brinder Nor Kule Avirbhav. Before the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal associates of the Lord appeared in families of human beings. Prabhu Ragyay Age Sarvaparikar Janma Lokilen Sobe Manush Bhitar. On the order of the Lord, all of his associates took birth in human society. The associates of the Lord appeared appeared in the human society of this world in order to assist in Sri Gaura's pastimes. They are not ordinary human beings, wrong to suffer the results of their past karma and subject to Yamaraj's punishment. Shri Krishna Swarvavatar Sevak Sakal Parshaderi Shri Gaur Leelar Bhakta Rupe Prapancha Avataran. All of the associates of all of the incarnations of Shri Krishna incarnated in this material world in the form of his devotee in Shri Gaur Leela. Ki Ananta Ki Shiv Virenchi Rishi Gaun Joto Avatarer Parshad Aptagon Ananta Shiva Brahma, various sages and the associates of all the Lord's previous incarnations all took birth as great devotees. Now here, Aptagon. Apta is an important word in Nyaya. Apta refers to a reliable authority. So these are all reliable authorities. Various demigods and sages who had expertly offered prayers to the Lord in his various incarnations appeared in this material world as associates in Gaur's eternal pastimes. Shri Gaur Krishna Rai Nijajan Tattva Avagati Samarthya. Only the eternal associates or the personal associates of Shri Gauranga and Krishna have the capacity to understand that's not what it means. Only Shri Gauranga and Krishna are capable of understanding the truth of his own personal associates. Bhagavata Rupe Janma Hoilo Savar Krishna se jane jar amshe janma jar. Only Gaur Krishna knew which associate took birth as which devotee. The associates who had assisted in the pastimes of Krishna now displayed their respective services to Shri Gaur Sundara as Vaishnavas of this world. The original personality of God and Shri Gaur Krishna personally knew where each of his devotees appeared. Pancha Gaude Bhaktaganer Avirbhav. Lord's devotees appeared in Pancha Gauda. Pancha Gauda refers to 5 parts of Gauda Desh. Gauda Desh is Bengal, and there are various places within that. Pancha Gauda is North India.
Yeah, probably.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, one purport I thought I read it.
In Krishna was
About Pancha Gauda.
yeah,
Pancha Dravida, I remember. Pancha Gauda also he says.
yeah.
is quite important. Let me trace it out. Pancha Gauda. Why? Two places. Yes. Right. Northern India is also divided into 5 parts called Pancha Gauda. Southern India is divided into 5 parts called Pancha Dravida. This is Krishna book, chapter 79. Caitanya Charitamrita also there is. There are Brahmanas known as Panchagauda Brahmanas who come from 5 places in northern India. And there are Brahmanas known as Panchadakshinatya Brahmanas who come from 5 places in southern India. In northern India, the places are Kanyakubja, Saraswata, Gauda, Maithila, and Utkala. In southern India, the places are Andhra, Karnataka, Gujarat, Dravida, and Maharashtra. The Brahmins from these places are considered to be very strict followers of the Vedic principles and they are accepted as pure Brahmanas. They strictly observe Vedic principles and are not polluted by tantric misdeeds. That is my screen. Here it is. Karo Jammu Navadvipe Karo Chati Grame Keho Raghe Otra Deshe Shri Hotte Paschime. Some took birth in Navadvip, some in Chattogram, some in Rajdesh, some in Orissa, some in Srihatta, and some in the west. That's in western part. West to Bengal. Many devotees of the Lord, such as Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, today is his appearance day. Sri Jagadananda Pandit Goswami, Pandit Sadashiv, Gangadas, Shuklambar, Sridhar, Purushottam, Sanjay, Kiranya, and Jagadish appeared in Navadvip. Srila Pundarik Vidya ne thi, Acharya ne thi, or Prema ne thi. Sri Vasudev Datta Thakur and his brother Mukunda Datta appeared in the village of Chatigram, presently known as Chattogram. Raddesh. This is not Radhadesh. It's Raddesh. Raddesh refers to places on the western side of the Ganges. Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared in the village of Ekchaka or Birchandrapur in the district of Birbhum. Ekchaka is today called Ekchakra. Ekchakra must have been the Sanskrit name, possibly. Sri Satyaraj Khan and Sri Ramananda Basu appeared in the village of Kulim in the district of Bardhaman, which is referred to as Bardwan today. Sri Mukunda, Sri Narahari, Sri Raghunandan, Chiranjeev, and Sulochana appeared at Sri Khanda. Many devotees like Sri Govinda, Sri Madhava, Sri Vasudev Ghosh, Vijay Haridas, and Vijay Vaninath Brahmachari appeared at Agradweep. Agradweep is near Mayapur. The word Odra in this verse refers to Utkala, the state of Orissa, which is described in statements like Odra Kshetra, Orissa, is very famous as the abode of Purushottama, Lord Jagannath. Let me trace out the original for this. No. Odra Kshetram Suprasiddham Tava Sangya, come. And these four sampradayas will appear in Kali Yuga at Utkala from the Supreme Lord Purushottama. Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya Utkale Purushottama. There are other statements like this. Sri Bhavananda Rai and his sons, headed by Srila Ramananda Rai, Sri Vaninath and Gopinath, as well as Sri Shikhi Mahiti, Sri Madhavi Devi, Murari Mahiti, Paramananda Mahapatra, Orissa Shivananda. What's that mean? His name must have been Odra Shivananda, Odia Shivananda, Prataprudra, Kashi Mishra, Pradyumna Mishra, and many other devotees appeared there. See Chaitanya Bhagavata, Antikhanda, chapter 5. Srihatta is presently situated in the state of Assam, which is adjacent to Bengal. This was when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote it. But afterwards, due to various political reasons, Srihatta now falls under Bangladesh. Many great devotees like Srivas Pandit, Sriram Pandit, Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya, Sri Jagannath Mishra, and Sri Advaita Prabhu appeared in this place, in this district. The word Paschime indicates the place presently as Trihut. The Sanskrit name of this place is Tirabhukti. Sripad Paramananda Puri and Sri Raghupati Upadhyay appeared at this place. They were both disciples of Srila Madhavendra Puripa and very intimate associates of Sriman Mahaprabhu.
Where is this Trihut? It's like one part of Mithila is also called Tirhut. Not Trihut, Tirhut it is called.
Some research we need to do. Definitely in North India, I know that. Where's Mithila?
Malda.
Cannot be. Mithila.
Yeah, Mithila. Mithila is like, yeah, it is just connected to the north
Border. I thought Mithila is in north.
Yeah, it is in the north, but the north is also like
Extremely. Sri Navadip Dhame, Shakaler, all of them met at Navadip Dham. It was only in Navadip Dham, Sri Navadip Dham, that all of them came together. Nanasthane Avutirno Hoila Bhakta Ganam, Navadipe Asi Hoilo Savar Milan. Although the devotees appeared in different places, they all gathered in Navadip. The words Savar Milan indicate that the associates of Sri Gautama appeared in various impure places in order to illuminate and increase the glories of these places. And later they came to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya and Sri Navadip and joined this Sankirtan movement. So this is the reason why the Supreme Lord placed them in various other places. Then 33. Vastutah Jivodhar Nimittai Sri Dham Saha Sakale Avataran. Kintu Bahirdrishtite Jati Osthan Samanya Buddhite Chid Dham Vyatit Annatra Prakatya Darshan. In reality, it is only for the reason, it is only for a single reason, to deliver the conditioned souls, that all of them had descended along with the sacred abode. But by external vision, by a consideration of caste and place, by such an ordinary consideration, they reveal themselves to be in places other than at the holy abodes. So the basic idea is this. Externally, they had taken birth in places where Ganga doesn't flow and so on. But in reality, they are eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, so they are always with the Dham. But by external vision, they happen to be appearing as if they were disconnected from the Dham, and that they came to the Dham at a later point in time. Sarva Vaishnaver Janma Navadip Dhame, Ona Mahapriya Daser Janma Onna Sthane. Most of the Vaishnavas took birth in Navadip, and some beloved associates appeared elsewhere. Most of the Vaishnavas appeared in the various villages of Navadip. But some of the followers of Sri Gaura, headed by Sri Nityananda, appeared elsewhere. Sri Hatte Prapatita Bhaktagam. Devotees who had appeared at Sri Hatta, Srivas Pandit R, Sri Ram Pandit, Sri Chandra Shekhar Dev Trailokya Pujit. Srivas Pandit, Sri Ram Pandit, and Sri Chandra Shekhar are worshipped throughout the three worlds. Srivas and Sri Ram are described in Sri Kavikarnapur's Gaurganadesh Dipika as follows. The most intelligent Srivas Pandit is non different from Sri Narada Muni. Sri Parvata Muni, who was very dear to Narada Muni, has now appeared as Sri Ram Pandit, the younger brother of Srivas Pandit. Srivasa Pandito Dhiman Yakpura Narado Nihi Parvatakhyo Munivaro Ya Asin Narada Priyaha Sri Rama Pandita Shriman Tat Kanishta Sahodaraha. After the Lord took sannyas, Srivas and Sri Ram left Navadip and resided at Kumarahatta. See Untitled Chapter 5. Sriman Chandrasekhara Dev was the Lord's devotee uncle, husband of Shachi's sister. According to Gaurganadesh Dipika, he was one of the 9 Nidhis, or Chandra. Sriman Mahaprabhu danced and sang in his house in the mood of Devi for the first time in Bengal. The place where Chandrasekhar's house was situated is now known as Vrajapattana. The huge octagonal temple known as Sri Caitanya Math is situated at this place. It is a center of nourishment for the world famous Vishwavaishnava Raja Sabha. Deities of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharyas are established on the 4 sides of this temple. Sri Guru Gauranga and Gandharbika Giridhari are being worshipped in the middle of the temple. Nityananda Prabhu gave prior information to Sri Chandrasekhar of the Lord's plan to take sannyas. See Madhya Kanda, chapter 26. Sri Chandrasekhar was present with Sri Nityananda and Mukunda Datta at Katwa when the Lord took sannyas. He duly performed the prescribed sannyas rituals and then returned to Navadip to inform everyone of the Lord's acceptance of sannyas. A description of the Lord's kirtan in the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya prior to his acceptance of sannyas is found in the Madhya Kanda, chapter 8. Is that correct? Is it correctly typed? Okay. The presence of Chandrasekhar Acharya during the huge Sankirtan procession to subdue the Kazi, and when the Lord bestowed his mercy on Sridhar is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 23. He would accompany the devotees of Bengal to visit the Lord in Nilachal every year. So Chandrasekhar Acharya's home became the residence for the temple of Gandharvika Giridhari, installed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Or in his language, he revealed service unto their lotus feet. Bhavaroga Vaidyashri Murarinam Jar, Sri Hatta Isa Vaishnaver Avatar. They, along with Sri Murari Gupta, who cures the living entities of their material disease, all took birth in Sri Hatta. Murari Gupta also took birth in Sri Hatta. That's interesting. The word Bhavaroga refers to the disease of material life. In other words, Bhava refers to the material miseries born of attachment to one's home. In this connection, one should refer to Jiva Goswami's Laghu Toshani commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has referred to Murari Gupta as a Vaidya or doctor. By doing so, he indicated that Murari exhibited great compassion of the living entities who have been averse to the Lord since time immemorial by destroying the seed of nescience and thus curing their disease of rebelliousness. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has never referred to Murari Gupta as a doctor of simply the material body. The incarnation of Vyasadeva, and prime example of one recording the activities of the Lord and his devotees, has thus confirmed that it is totally prohibited, hellish, and inauspicious to consider Lord Vishnu and the Vaishnavas as belonging to a particular caste and mode of nature. They are in fact transcendental spiritual beings. Murari Gupta, he was a doctor, but that is not his actual identity. He was more of a spiritual doctor than just a material doctor. The words Vaidya Sri Murari, literally, the doctor Sri Murari, refer to Sri Murari Gupta, the writer of the celebrated book Sri Caitanya Charita. So in Bengali, we refer to it as Murari Gupta Khadcha. Khadcha is a Bengali word which means notebook. But it is a proper Sanskrit book, written in proper Sanskrit. It is a Sanskrit book and verses, in fact. Follows the style of the Puranas while describing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Very nice. We find Hindi translations, we find Bengali translations also. And of course, within ISKCON we find English translation. He appeared in a doctor's family in Srihatta and later became a resident of Sri Navadvip. He was elder to Sriman Mahaprabhu. In his house, the Lord exhibited his form of Varaha, Madhyakanda, chapter 3. And during the Lord's Mahaprakash pastimes, the Lord revealed to him his form as Ram, Madhyakanda, chapter 10. Once in the house of Srivas, when Murari Gupta saw both Nityananda and Gaurasundar, he offered his obeisances first to Mahaprabhu, then to Nityananda Prabhu. Seeing this, Mahaprabhu told him, "You have violated proper etiquette by offering obeisances first to me." Later that night, the Lord appeared to him in a dream and glorified the position of Nityananda. Early the next day, Murari offered obeisances first to Nityananda and then Mahaprabhu. See, in the Lord's pastimes, first you offer obeisances to the elder and then to the younger. Murari Gupta, he realized that Mahaprabhu is Lord Ramachandra, that Nityananda is Lakshmana. So he offers obeisances to Lord Ram first and then to Lakshmana. He offers obeisances to the elder brother first and then the younger brother. But in Krishna Leela, it's reversed. Balaram is superior and Krishna is inferior, just in relationship. So between Krishna and Balaram, offers obeisance to Balaram first and then Krishna next. So here we see that the Lord is ordering him to offer obeisance to Nityananda and then to Mahaprabhu, because God Leela is following Krishna Leela. Early the next day, Murari offered obeisances first to Nityananda and then Mahaprabhu. This pleased Mahaprabhu, who then gave him his chewed betel nut remnants. One day, Murari offered fried rice to Mahaprabhu, and the next day, the Lord displayed his pastime of having indigestion from eating that indigestible rice. The Lord therefore came to Murari Gupta for treatment and drank water from his water pot, saying, "This is the only remedy." Another day, when Sriman Mahaprabhu accepted a four-armed form in the house of Srivas, Murari manifested the mood of Garuda. The Lord then sat on his shoulders and exhibited his opulent pastimes. Once Murari considered that when the Lord disappeared, separation from him would be unbearable. So he decided to give up his body while the Lord was still present in this world. Lord, who is a super soul, forbade him from this act. Bhagavata, chapter 20. On another occasion, Murari offered prayers to the Lord when he accepted the form of Varaha in Murari's house. Untitled Chapter 4. His humble entreaties are found in Chaitanya Sattamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 11, verses 152 to 158. His attachment to Lord Ramachandra is mentioned in the Chaitanya Sattamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 15, verses 137 to 157. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Murari Gupta just as a test that you should worship Krishna, should meditate on Krishna instead of meditating on Ram. And Murari Gupta, he tried because he accepts that his master is Lord Ram and that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Ram. So when he gives an instruction, he cannot disobey. So he tried, but he could not. And then next morning he said, I cannot. I have surrendered unto the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. I cannot take my mind away. And Lord Chaitanya was happy with it. The words Vaishnava Avatar indicate that the Vaishnavas belong to Goloka. The very expression Vaishnava is a very loaded expression. We cannot use it very casually. We are aspiring devotees. But Vaishnava is a big word. In fact, there was a place called Pulindram, and Lord Chaitanya said in Pulindram, even the people who heard the pigs chant Krishna's holy name. So one day they asked Lord Chaitanya a question, how do we recognize who is a Vaishnava? The next year they asked the same question, then the next year also they asked the same question. Lord Chaitanya, first year he explained who is a pure Kanishta Adhikari, Kanishta Vaishnava. Next year he explained who is a pure Madhyama Vaishnava. Then the next year he explained who is a pure Uttama Vaishnava. But the very question is very interesting because everybody is chanting Krishna's name, even the one who is herding pigs. Still, they did not consider that simply because you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are a Vaishnava. And therefore, they asked Lord Chaitanya. They found the question so important, they asked him 3 times. Because it is very important to understand who is a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is not simply somebody who is just chanting Hare Krishna externally. He has to have certain features. They do not possess gross or subtle designations. These residents of Goloka appear in this material world for the benefit of the living entities. The Vaishnavas accept gross and subtle bodies to bewilder the demons and accomplish some task. These bodies are not their constitutional forms. The fruity workers considered a Vaishnava low class because of their external appearance. This improper vision makes them offenders. Everyone within 800,000 miles from where a Vaishnava appears or incarnates in this world is free from all misconceptions. 800,000 miles. I think South India is not very far from Calcutta by this calculation. I was anyway born in Chandigarh. I have some hope. I think many of us have hope. But he also, okay. They then became relieved from the misunderstandings of considering the Vaishnavas as born in a particular caste, as belonging to a particular creed or ashrama, or being simply ordinary scholars, or as being objects of mundane enjoyment. The real sadhus who worship Sri Hari and give proper respect to the demigods and brahmanas never fall under the clutches of demoniac Brahman karmis by disrespecting the Vaishnavas and thereby cleansing and widening their path to hell. So you can also clean your path to hell. Chattagami Prakatita Bhaktagon or Jasho Hare Prakatita Thakur Haridas. Devotees who had appeared in Chattagram and Thakur Haridas who had appeared in Jashore, which is now in Bangladesh. Pundarik Vidyanidhi Vaishnav Pradhan Chaitanya Vallabha Datta Vasudev Naam Chati Grame Hoilo Iha Sobar Parakas Uthane Hoila Avatirna Haridas. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the topmost Vaishnava, Chaitanya Vallabha, and Vasudev Datta all appeared in Chattagram. Haridas Thakur appeared in the village of Budhan. Pundarik Vidyanidhi is also known as Premanidhi and Acharya Nidhi. He is described in Sri Kavikarnapur Sri Gauraganadesh Deepika as follows. King Vrishabhanu of Brajamandal has now appeared as Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi. वृषभानुत्तया ख्यातः पुरा यो व्रजमण्डले अधुना पुण्डरीकाक्षो विद्यानिधि ममाशयः स्वकीय भावमास्वाद्य राधा विरह कातरः चैतन्यः पुण्डरीकाक्षम् अयेता ता वदत् स्वयं. Okay. So sometimes the Lord would call out to what is this? Why that's not translated? See, this is why it's important to check the original. Sometimes the Supreme Lord, while relishing his own mood and while experiencing separation from Radha, he would refer to Pundarikaksha. In Sanskrit, there's the word tata. Tata is used to refer to a father, is used to refer to a child also, one's own son. So you would refer to Pundarikaksha as his father.
Brother also sometimes non-tells actually.
Dear. I think in Vedic culture, sometimes women also refer to each other as Amba, mother. Even in a place like Tamil Nadu, they commonly refer to women as Amma, mother. It's just a common thing. And the women don't get offended by being referred to as a mother. It's normal. If you call her by something else, then she'll get offended. But mother basically means that I will deal with you respectfully. That's what it means. Pundarika Vidyanidhi was the disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puripa and the spiritual master of Sri Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. His wife's name was Ratnavati. Is it? Yes. His father's name was Baneshwar, or in others' opinion, Shuklambar Brahmachari. And his mother's name was Gangadevi. His ancestral house is situated in the village of Mekhala, which is 2 miles east of the Hath Hazari police station, which is 12 miles north of Chattagram. One can approach Mekhala Gram from Chattagram either on horseback, by bullock cart, or by steamer. The steamer station is known as Annapurnar Ghat. The birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurnar Ghat. One good news since a few decades actually is that Pundarik Vidyanidhi's birthplace has become associated with ISKCON in Bangladesh. They hold annual festival, many nice events. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi is now being worshipped by his own followers. That is something good. The birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurnar Ghat. Although the father of Vidyanidhi belonged to the Varendra class of Brahmins, when he shifted to the village of Bhagavata in the district of Dhaka, the Brahmin community of Radhadesh did not accept it. For this reason, his descendants who followed Shakta Dharma, worship of Durga, were isolated from the community and became the priests for the members of the isolated community. One of the members of this family is living in Vrindavan and is named Sarojananda Goswami. One special characteristic of this family is that each of its members had only one son or no son at all, and therefore the family was not very expansive. Sriman Mahaprabhu used to address Pundarik as Bap or father, and he gave him the title Premanidhi to indicate that he was a servant of the Supreme Lord. In Madhya Leela chapter 7, it is described that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a spiritual master of Sri Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. The description of Sri Jagannath Dev slapping the cheeks of Pundarik Vidyanidhi and his disclosing this fact to his dear friend Sri Damodar Swarup are found in the Antya-Leela chapter 10. Actually, it's Antya Khanda and Madhya Khanda. The Bhajan Kutir of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is now very old and dilapidated. Without repair, it may soon crumble. There are 2 verses inscribed on the wall of that temple, but they are so old that one cannot read or understand them. There is another temple, however, about 200 yards southeast of this one. And the inscriptions on the wall of that temple are also illegible. One can infer from the pile of broken bricks 10 yards from this temple that there used to be another temple there. Descendants there say that Mukunda Datta often came there to perform his bhajan. There are 2 living descendants of the family of Srila Vidyanidhi named Sri Harakumar Smriti Tirtha and Sri Krishna Kinkar Vidyalanka. For further information, one should refer to the dictionary known as Vaishnav Manjusha. The dictionary is actually an encyclopedia in 4 volumes. There was a devotee named Caitanya Vallabh in the line of Gadadhar Pandit. That's a difference in opinion whether or not this is the Caitanya Vallabh mentioned in this verse. Otherwise, Caitanya Vallabh may be accepted as meaning one who is very dear to Sri Chaitanya, an adjective for Sri Vasudev Datta Thakur. Sri Vasudev Datta Thakur was born in the village of Chohara near Patia police station in the district of Chattogram. This village is situated 20 miles from Mekhala, the birthplace of Sri Pundri Vidyanidhi. It is stated in the Gaudiya Dipika. In Vraja, there were 2 very nice singers named Madhukantha and Madhuvrata. They appeared in Chaitanya Leela as Mukunda and Vasudev Datta, who were singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rajasthino Gayako, Yo Madhukanta Madhuvratau, Mukunda Vasudeva Tau, Dattau Gauranga Gayako. He was the dear well-wisher of Srivas Pandit and Sri Shivananda Singh. There is a railway station named Purvasthali on the East Indian Railway, Howrah-Katwa line. About 1 mile away in a village known as Mamgachi, which is the birthplace of Vrindavan Thakur. There is an old temple of Madan Gopal that was established by Vasudeva. This place is still there. Madan Gopal.
Madan Gopal is in Bay.
No, that is different. That is Nilambar Chakravarti's Madan Gopal. When we went to Mamgachi, did we see Madan Gopal Diti?
Yes.
Huh?
In
In Vrindavan Thakur's place?
no,
Separately.
it's Mamgachi.
In Mamgachi, there's another
Back
place.
side of them is that there goes up Pagdandi.
Correct. But this is Vasudeva Datta.
There is one temple of, I do not know, in Parikrama we go from the back side of the Vrindavan Thakur's that place, and then we cross the road and then there is temple. I do not remember exactly.
So many important places like this. So many important places. Somehow or other, if we just get their blessings, it'll be easy to make spiritual progress. He later on shifted to Kumarahatta or Kanchanapalli and lived with Srivas and Shivananda. Seeing his liberal nature, Sriman Mahaprabhu ordered Shivananda to act as his manager and reduce his excessive expenditure. His heart-rending prayers to Sriman Mahaprabhu on behalf of the miserable, misguided living entities who are averse to Lord Hari are found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is also explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vasudeva Datta, the 19th branch of the Sri Chaitanya tree, was a great personality and a most confidential devotee of the Lord. One could not describe his qualities, even with thousands of mouths. Srila Vasudeva Datta Thakur wanted to suffer for the sinful activities of all the people of the world, so that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu might deliver them. Vasudeva Datta Prabhu Nitya Mahashoy Sahasra Mukhe Jar Gun Koshile Na Hoy Jagate Jote Jeev Tar Pap Loya Narag Bhunjite Chahe Jeeve Chadaya. Great years. If we imitate somebody like Vasudeva Datta, And we also prayed to Lord Chaitanya, please give me. And then he gives just a little bit. Because Purva Janma Krita Papani Vyadhi Rupena Jayate. You get all diseases simply because of sinful reactions. This is a subtle cause. Subtle cause for gross sufferings is actually sinful reactions. So therefore, sinful reactions is something that traditionally in India people are very terrified of. Because that is what leads to klesha. In some other religions also, they have this concept of papa and punya. You do certain activities, it is basically like getting some credit or a debit. His disciple was Sri Yadunandan Acharya, who was the initiating spiritual master of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 6.161. Sri Mukunda Datta was his brother. It is not definitely certain whether Sri Haridas Thakur appeared in the village named Bhutan, that is in the district of Khulna. Formerly, this village was within a district of 24 Parganas, within the Sakshira division. Looks like there is more than one Bhutan. Radhe Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Avatara. In Radhesh, the Supreme Personality of God Sri Nityananda descended. Radhma Ache Ek Chaka Name Ache Gram Johi Avatirna Nityananda Bhagavan. This is all Bengali. The Supreme Lord Nityananda Prabhu appeared in the village of Ek Chakra in Radhesh. The village previously known as Ek Chaka or Ek Chakra is presently known as Birchandrapur and Garbhavas. It is situated 8 miles from the Mallarpur station, which is in the EIR loop line, East India Railway loop line. In his commentary on Bhagavata 2.72, Madhvacharya quotes the Padma Purana as follows. By his own sweet will, he exhibits various forms through his own internal potency. He does not appear from Vasudeva in the womb of Devaki. He is not born of Dasharatha, nor from Jamadagni. Rather, he eternally enjoys ecstasy in pure pastimes that are free from duality. Let's see the original. Taddeva Lilaya Chauso Parichinna de Rupena Darshayati Mayaya. It's that very form that he exhibits separately, individually, by his Maya potency in his pastimes. Nachagarbhe Vasad Devya Nachapi Vasudevataha Nachapi Raghavadjato Nachapi Jamadagnittaha Nityanandodvayopye Vam Kridate Mokhadar Shanaha. What is this? उत्तररूपी अवतीर्ण होया सर्वेश्वरेश्वर श्री नित्यानंद श्री हराई पंडित के कृपा. By descending in the form of a son, the Lord of all the Lords, Sri Nityananda, has bestowed his mercy on Sri Harai Pandit. Harai Pandit Naam Shuddha Vipraraj Mule Sarva Pita Tane Hare Pita Vyaj. The exalted Harai Pandit was the king of the Brahmanas. He was accepted as the father of Lord Nityananda, who is the original father of all. Harai Pandit or Hado Ojha was born in a Maithil Brahmin family. His wife's name was Padmavati. Although Lord Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the father of all universes, the Vaikuntras, the living entities, and the Vishnu Tattvas, he nevertheless appeared as the son of Harai Pandit. Sometime back, a false rumor was spread that Sri Nityananda Prabhu was born in a non-Brahmin family. This is totally baseless and born from the duplicitous smartas, envy and hatred of Lord Vishnu. प्रेम दाता परम दयालु श्री गौरहरि सेवक गौर श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the best of the servants of Sri Gaurahari, and he is most merciful, and he bestows love of God. Bhakti-data Sri Vaishnava Dham Radhe Avatirna Haila Nityananda Ram, the ocean of mercy, the giver of devotional service, and the shelter of all Vaishnavas. Sri Nityananda Ram appeared in Radhesh. Sri Nityananda Prabhu Prakatya, Devaganeya Pushpavarsha. When Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared, the Devas showered flowers. Mahajaya Jayat Pushpavarishan Sangope Devata Gane Koilen Tokham. At the time of Nityananda's appearance, all the demigods secretly showered flowers and chanted Jai, Jai. When Sri Nityananda Prabhu appeared, all the demigods chanted his glories in ecstasy and showered flowers on him. This incident was beyond the realm of those who believe only in direct perception. So it was Sangope, it was secretly done. Sarvatra Shubhodaya. And there was an awakening of auspiciousness everywhere. Say din hoite raj mandal sakal punah punah badite lagilo sumangal. From that day on, the land of Rad began to prosper, and signs of auspiciousness became visible. After the appearance of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, the barren areas of Gaudiya began to prosper. Gradually, the entire Radhesh became a center of advanced learning and culture. So these are all indirectly seen. When the Supreme Lord appears, then he provides direct benefits and indirect benefits. So these are even indirectly, you can see these material benefits. Mithila Prakatita Bhaktava. Excellent devotees who appeared in Mithila.
It is in West Africa.
The excellent devotee. I see in Bengali there is no compulsory plural indicator. So here, Prakatita Bhaktava, it can refer to a single excellent devotee. I think it refers to Paramananda Puri. Trishkute Paramananda Puri Prakash Nilachale Jar Sange Ekatra Vilas. Paramananda Puri, who enjoyed pastimes with the Lord in Nilachal, appeared in Trikuta. Trikuta consists of the districts presently known as Muzaffarpur, Darbhanga, and Chhapra. These places exist in the Mithila area. In his previous ashrama, Sri Paramananda Puri lived in Trikuta. He was a dear disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri Pad. In the last portion of this book, various topics related to Paramananda Puri and Nilachal, such as his well, are described.
It's a small part of it, little bigger.
अक्षज ज्ञानी फलीहत जीवेर मंगलोद्देश्य प्रश्नोत्थापन. In order to awaken auspiciousness for living entities who are injured by the age of Kali and who only gather their senses from their knowledge from sense perception. Now, the author brings about the question. Nongatir punyasthan sakal thakite Vaishnav janmaye kene shoccha deshete apone hoila avatirna ganga tire Sandhyar parshade kene janmayen dure. The banks of the Ganges are most sanctified. Why then would a Vaishnava take birth at an impious place? The Lord appeared on the bank of the Ganges. So why did his associates appear in distant places? Actually, Ganga, you will find the glory of Ganga very much brought out in Srimad Bhagavatam and in many, many scriptures. Ramayana, birth of Ganga comes. Mahabharata, Ganga's glory is described. Many Puranas talk about the importance of Ganga. Chaitanya Bhagavata also talks about the importance of Ganga. We'll see that. The word Shochadesh or impious places is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.21.8 as follows. Shochadesh literally means that place which you should feel sorry for, which you should mourn about. Pitiable place. Among places, those bereft of the spotted antelope, those devoid of devotion to Brahmanas, those possessing spotted antelopes, but bereft of respectable men, provinces like Kikata, and places where cleanliness and purification rites are neglected, where meat eaters are prominent, or where the earth is barren, are all considered to be contaminated lands. Yeah. Shocha. Here. Krishna Saro Deshanama Brahmanyo Suche Bhave. Krishna Saro Pyasau Veera Kikata Samskrute. Krishna Sarasto Chartim Mrigoyat Swapavata Sagyayu Yagisho Yagiyo Desho Mlechat Deshas Tatah Paraha. In Manusamhita, it is stated places devoid of sacrificial performances and naturally grazing spotted antelopes are known as Mechadeshas or impious lands. The Ganges, which emanates from the lotus feet of Vishnu and which is the best of the 7 sacred rivers, is glorified by the Puranas as possessing the topmost potency for purification. That is why she has a special position amongst the devotees. The Ganges, also known as Bhagirathi, flows through Navdeep of Gaudiya. Since many of Sri Chaitanya's associates appeared outside Gaudiya, many questions may arise in the hearts of materialistic people. If Vaishnavas appear in a place that is so contaminated that the visitor requires atonement, a place that hinders one's purification, then people will consider these pure Vaishnavas as materially contaminated and forced to enjoy the fruits of pious and impious activities. Therefore, the following question arises. Why did the pious Vaishnavas take birth in places not visited by the Pandavas or touched by the Ganges, instead of appearing on the banks of the Ganges? One may also question why Sri Chaitanya Dev personally appeared in the highest Brahmin family of Navdeep, which is situated on the banks of the supremely pure Ganges, yet he had his associates appear in places far from the Ganges and families other than Brahmanas. In answer to these questions, it can be said that pure Vaishnavas appeared in such families, in such places and in such families in order to purify those places and families. This will be explained by the author in verses 46 to 52. So the idea was that the Supreme Lord arranged for his devotees to take bath in various different families, castes, and so on. Granthakar Kautrik Tuhar Sad Uttar Pradan. Now the author provides a good answer to this question. जे जे देश गंगा हरि नाम विवचित, जे देशे पांडव नाही गेलो कदाचित, से सब जीवे रे कृष्ण वत्सल होइया, महाभक्त सब जन्मायेन आज्ञा दिया. Out of compassion, Lord Krishna ordered his great devotees to appear in places where the Ganges does not flow, where the holy names are not chanted, and where the Pandavas did not visit. Sri Vrindavan Thakur has to explain all these things because in India, people are obsessed with birth. For everything, they look at birth. Okay, for some things it's relevant. Birth is relevant for marriage. But birth is not relevant for other things. In pure devotion service, actually, birth has no relevance. For an elaboration on the meaning of this verse, one can refer to the following verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, O most pure, O great saintly person, your father has been purified along with 21 forefathers in your family."
How much far from the Ganges are considered gods?
I think it's a particular geographical area. I remember many years back reading a history in Padma Purana. There was an elephant couple living on the bank of Ganga. Male elephant and female elephant. One day something happened, forest fire or something. The elephant got burnt, and the lady elephant's bones were scattered in Ganga. They fell into Ganga. Because of that, that soul got a celestial body in the heavenly planets. She became a female Devi, some demigods. She became so attractive that even Indra forgot Shachi Devi and was hankering for her. So one day Shachi Devi came to her and said, "So you are very proud now, you can attract my husband. It is all because your bones are inside Ganga." That is why you are here. That is not there, you would not be here. So Ganga's power is really unimaginable, inconceivable. Even animals, see, that is animal. Elephant is just an animal, you know. It's attained so much suprati to attain Indra's kingdom and attract Indra's attention away from Indra's wife. Very powerful. That is just material. What to speak of spiritual? Jala Brahma, liquid Brahma, the supreme Godhead in liquid form. In fact, I think here only it will come. Or does it come in Chaitanya Charitamrita? After Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, wandering, and he saw some cowherd boys chanting Krishna's name or something. Then immediately the Lord said, that means from 1 mile or some place is Ganga. Because Ganga, then naturally that effect is there. If you are offenseless, that is the only condition. One should be offenseless. For an
You told the Jala Brahma, that means they have Lord Brahma.
Yeah.
Sometimes I saw some devotees, they offer obeisances like we offer Radha Vishnu. Is right?
Yeah, because Ganga is a combination of three waters. I remember reading this. It is a combination of 3 waters. Brahma's Kamandalu water. When Lord Vamana, he pierced, then Karna, the causal ocean's water. More, I think coming from spiritual world is something. I can check that. It comes in 11th canto. It's a combination of 3. So it looks like the Supreme Lord's presence is there, and very, very powerful. Very powerful. But we are here, so we don't understand the importance of that. We are so far away, only then you understand. You have thrown somewhere else, then only you will understand. Here, Ganga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taken bath. Very powerful.
What is the exact way to offer obeisances to?
I really don't know.
We asked Janimas, but he told somebody thinks her as Guru, somebody thinks her as then Goddess, somebody thinks her as like Jal is like Vishnu.
Yeah.
Vishnu is there. So just think of it like
Somehow we should offer obeisances. Unbelievable. If we offer respects to Ganga, sufficient respect, we take shelter of her, immense benefit. One thing that is required, Shraddha is required. Shraddha means other, respect. That is always there. For everything, for worshipping Krishna's deity form, Ganga, Navadip Mandal, chanting Hare Krishna, Bhagavatam, everywhere we need to give sufficient respect. With a respectful attitude, without any duplicity, we offer respects, then we cannot imagine how much of benediction we get. At a place like Navadip Mandal, it is the topmost place to engage in Navadip Bhakti. So much of facility we have. Ganga is right here. Previously, Ganga used to be far away. Now she's come so close. Before also, she used to flood. We are lazy, so
Without the springs. Sorry, before without the springs.
yes, without the means. We should not try to deceive the spiritual master, the Vaishnavas. We should not try to deceive Krishna or Krishna's representative. Sarvatams basically required. Without either you be silent or you be straightforward. You can be silent. One can be silent or be straightforward. If you cannot be straightforward, be silent. When we become friends with the duplicitous people, then automatically we become duplicitous. Therefore, you have to become careful. Keep away from these people. Okay? Respect them from a distance and keep away to protect ourselves. For an elaboration of the meaning of this verse, one can refer to the following verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, O most pure, O great saintly person, your father has been purified along with 21 forefathers in your family. Because you are born in this family, the entire dynasty is being purified. Whenever and wherever there are peaceful, equipoised devotees who are well behaved and decorated with all good qualities, that place and the dynasty is there, even if condemned, are purified. And, O Suta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use." These are two verses from Bhagavatam. Trace it out. Trisaptabhih pita puta pitrabhih sahate nagha yat sadhosya kule jato bhavan vai kulapavanaha yatra yatra chamadbhakta prashanta samadarshinaha sadhava samudacha sadhava sadachara te puyante pi kikata samudacha. Samudachara. What is that? Te puyante pi kikata yat pada samshraya sutta munaya shamayana. It's munaya, not munaya. Shamayana sadhya punatyapaskrushta svardhunyapo nuse vaya. One requires atonement after visiting those places where Krishna's friends, the Pandavas, did not visit. Such places are not frequented by devotees. The Pandavas are as good as Krishna. Therefore, the people of countries beyond the jurisdiction of their rule were fallen, devoid of devotional service, and absorbed in material sense gratification. There was one great Vamshidas Babaji Maharaj, living in Pulia for many years. So he also spoke about Pandav Varchit Desh, the land rejected by the Pandavas. It looks like some part of Bengal or Pandava Desh.
But there comes one place called Ekchakra in Mahabharata. Or mine.
This hour in this Ekchakra, they say this is that Ekchakra. They say that. I don't know. They say that. If it is mentioned in authoritative literature, then it's a fact. In Dwapar Yuga, Lord Krishna sent the Pandavas to various provinces and thus established his Bhaktavatsarya, affection for his devotees. Similarly, in Kali Yuga, the magnanimous personality, Sri Gaurasundar displayed his extraordinary munificence by sending his own associates to places where even Krishna had not sent the Pandavas. Like Prabhupada, which is unprecedented. He went all over the world. Actually, it is a fact that one should not, people who are born and brought up in Bharatavarsha and who are engaged in dharma, they should not cross the ocean. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur has pointed out he has pointed out that there is no prohibition to crossing the ocean if you can teach people about devotional service. So it looks like that is the only exception. For any other purpose, if you cross means
Not for earning money.
one's pious credits will go down.
You have to do
Prashchita is required, yeah.
But many Indians are becoming devotees after doing this.
That is the greatest prashchita. That covers up everything. Samsara Taran Shri Krishna Caitanya. No. Where am I? Krishna Vimam Jiver Prati Krishnair Param Karunyer Nidarshan. Krishna, here is an instance of Krishna's supreme mercy to living entities who are averse to Krishna. Samsara Taran Shri Krishna Caitanya. The deliverer of material existence, Shri Krishna Caitanya. संसार तारिते श्री चैतन्य अवतार अपने श्रीमुखी कोरी आछे अंगीकार. Shri Chaitanya descended to deliver the entire universe. He has confirmed this with his own words. Miss something? Okay. स्वीय सदृश नित्य पार्षद वैष्णव गण के अवतारण पूर्वक प्रभु कर्तृक तत्त देश ओ कुलोद्धार. After causing his eternal associates who are similar to him, the Vaishnavas, to descend to this world, the Lord had them deliver those lands and their family lineages. Shotcha deshi, shotcha kule, upon soman, Jamaya Vaishnave, Savare Kore Tran. The Lord had his devotees who are equal to him appear at impious places and in impious families in order to deliver everyone. Prabhupada also said this also applies to devotees who are born in the West and who spontaneously became attracted to pure devotional service to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Many of his disciples, Prabhupada said, they were all devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from past life. It is our duty to honor them. Because if you have spontaneous attraction to service to Lord Chaitanya, there is no other explanation you can give. I'm talking of pure devotional service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not just some attraction for 10 years and then they forget it. There are some who cannot forget. Even if they try to forget, they cannot forget. So they are attracted to pure devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. It indicates that they are also like this. The term Shorcha Kule is explained as follows. Pious people are not affected by low birth. Can you just understand? Pious people are not affected by low birth because they are born in pure Brahmin families. Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras and Antijas are progressively more impious. Fruitive workers are born in impious families due to their sinful activities. But Vaishnavas who are engaged in the service of Lord Vishnu are as good as Vishnu. They are able to purify all sorts of impious countries and families. In the Shastras, it is also stated, Kulam pavitram janani kritartha vasundhara va vasatischa dhanya nrityanti swarge pitropi tesham yesham kule Vaishnava namadheyam. In whatever family a Vaishnava appears, his family, mother, birthplace, and residence become purified, and his forefathers dance in the heavens. The words upon Soman, literally equal to him, indicate that Vaishnavas are the spiritual masters of the entire world and inconceivably one with and different from Lord Krishna. You want to hear about words like Vaishnava, we should remember it refers to Uttama Vaishnavas. The one who is fully a Vaishnava. Fully a Vaishnava. They represent the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Absolute Truth, and they personify the syllable Omkar. Through the Vaishnavas, Sri Krishna delivers the conditioned souls whose aversion to Hari is born from accepting materialistic Varnashrama and caste consciousness. That is why the Vaishnava Shastras loudly declare, Avaishnava Upadishtena, Mantrena Nirayam Vraje, Punascha Vidhina Samyak Grahayed Vaishnavad Guru. One who receives a mantra from a guru who is a non-devotee or who is addicted to sense enjoyment is doomed to a life in hell. Such a person must immediately approach a genuine Vaishnava guru and again accept the mantra from him. So here is the situation where you have a bona fide mantra coming from a non-bona fide source. So now what do? If it is a non-bona fide mantra from there are four possibilities. Theoretically. Non-bona fide mantra, non-bona fide guru. Bona fide mantra, non-bona fide guru. Then you have non-bona fide mantra coming from a bona fide guru. Yeah, it's not possible. And then you have a bona fide mantra coming from bona fide guru. Bona fide mantra from bona fide guru, that will have effect. In all other situations, it will not have effect. Other than pure Vaishnavas, no one can properly act as an Acharya. Anyone other than a pure Vaishnava is a conditioned soul who suffers the results of his karma. But Vaishnavas are transcendental worshippers of Vishnu and have conquered the illusory energy. Therefore, they are as good as Lord Vishnu. See, a pure Vaishnava, he loves Krishna more than anything else, anyone else. So he will only keep pushing you towards pure devotional service to Krishna. That itself will give you a hint that he must be a pure devotee. Because only a pure devotee will push you to engage in pure devotional service to Krishna. He will not tell you, you should serve Krishna, but just for the sake of safety, you should serve me also. He will never convey this kind of ideas. He will not say that because Shastra says, when in reality he wants him to serve him. No, he will not be duplicitous. Krishna means Krishna. He really loves Krishna, so he will push. That is why it is said, other than pure Vaishnavas, no one can properly act as an Acharya. But Vaishnavas are transcendental worshippers of Vishnu and have conquered the illusory energy. Therefore, they are as good as Lord Vishnu. They are liberated souls situated in pure goodness beyond the three modes of material nature. They are eternal associates of Lord Vishnu and capable of protecting the conditioned souls from the covering and throwing potencies of Maya by their instructions on sadhana bhakti. From the Pancharatrika traditions, we understand that the spiritual master is like a witness. Suppose somebody is put in jail. Suppose somebody is accused of being a criminal. Both in the past and now also, there is a judge, Vicharpati. There is a judge who checks whether the accusation is true or false. And they conduct all kinds of investigations. So they check with witnesses. So the Acharya, the bona fide spiritual master, he acts as a witness before the Supreme Lord. He's the one who pleads on behalf of that conditioned soul, saying, "My Lord, please forgive him. Please accept him. Give him one more chance. Let him surrender unto you. Please give him one more chance." If he doesn't do that, then it will not work. Therefore, Vaishnavas, these great pure transcendental Vaishnavas, are considered to be protectors of conditioned souls. Not that they can protect. They are also Jivatmas. So how can they protect?
but rather as a witness they can protect. And without a witness, the Supreme Lord will not accept you. When I surrender unto the Supreme Lord, I also need somebody to advocate on my behalf. It is part of Sharanagati. Krishna will not accept me unless somebody advocates on my behalf, somebody who recommends, somebody has to recommend. Of course, we know that the Lord's internal potency is the ultimate recommender. But she will ask down the line, who's your personal recommender? It has to go through some recommendation. So some authorized chain. So therefore, we need a spiritual master. Because that spiritual master has to pray to Krishna for me. If he doesn't do that, the whole thing will not work. I'll go on praying. The possibility may come, but you cannot depend on it. No? Therefore, let us follow the path of sadhana siddhi. And the bona fide acharyas, they only tell their disciples to engage in sadhana siddhi. So to whatever degree we push a person to engage in pure sadhana bhakti in order to come to pure bhava bhakti, in order to come to pure prema bhakti, to that degree we are bona fide. To whatever degree we are not that, to that degree we are not bona fide. So we should not reject all Vaishnavas who sometimes give improper instructions. Because at other times they give proper instructions. But those who are fully pure should be fully accepted always. People other than Vaishnavas reject the service of Vishnu and serve Maya, thus accepting temporary material objects as the controller. Eventually, they accept the doctrine of impersonalism and fall in the path of atheism or godlessness. In this way, they lose all inclination for serving Krishna. Adhokshaja Vaishnaver avataran prabhave deshya sarvatra evam sakalarai uddha. By the impact or the influence of the descent of Vaishnavas who are transcendental to the mind and senses. Everything about the places and everybody living there are liberated. All places and everyone living in those places associated with them are liberated. Jai deshe jai kule Vaishnava tore tahar prabhave laksha jojan nistore. Whatever place or family the Vaishnava appears, people for hundreds of thousands of miles around are all delivered. One may refer to the commentary on verse 35 for an explanation of the words Vaishnava tore. Jai, not Jai, Jai. Aprakrita Shuddha Sattva Vaishnava Agamane Tirtha Sammuha Tirthimut. Upon the arrival of Vaishnavas in non-material Shuddha Sattva, the places of pilgrimages become saintly, become places of pilgrimages. These are all Bengali paraphrases of Sanskrit verses actually. Jai sthane Vaishnavgan koren vijoy, sei sthan hoy ati punya tirthamay. Wherever the Vaishnavas go to that place, wherever the Vaishnavas go, that place becomes a sanctified place of pilgrimage. Out of humility, the great devotees are swan-like Vaishnavas. Swan-like is Bhagavata Prabhu's standard translation for Saragrahi. Saragrahi means one who seeks the essence. It's a word very commonly used by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Saragrahi Vaishnava. A Vaishnava who accepts the essence. Shuddha Bhakti. Opposite of that is Bharavahi. Bharavahi. Bhagavata Prabhu's standard translation is ass-like, like a donkey. One who is very fond of carrying unnecessary burden. That is the exact opposite. Bharavahi, burden carrying or essence seeking. Out of humility, the great devotees or swan-like Vaishnavas consider themselves impure. They play the role of visiting holy places to purify themselves just to deceive the materialists, while in fact, they purify even the holy places. Ordinary places become sanctified by the presence of Vaishnavas. In this regard, Maharaj Yudhishthira said to Vidura in the Srimad Bhagavata, Bhavad Vidha Bhagavata Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vidho Tirthi kurvanti tirthani swantasthena gadabhrata. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of God within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. When the materialistic enjoying mentality is absent in a conditioned soul, he becomes a sadhu. Places inhabited by Vaishnavas are better than ordinary holy places. That's a very important point. Places inhabited by Vaishnavas are better than ordinary. Of course, these Vaishnavas are Uttama Vaishnavas. Always remember that.
Kolkata.
He lived there. Shuchi or Shuchi Bhede, Sakal Desh, O Kule, Bhagwan Nijo, Nitya Mukta Pashad Bantya Avataron. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead had his own eternally liberated associates descend in all places and families. Some of them were pure and some were impure. All. This is to teach everyone this lesson, that if you follow the instruction of Shuddha Bhakti, become purified. Doesn't matter what your background is. And this is a very, very important consideration. Very important consideration. When Prabhupada preached to the Westerners and brought them here, even the Vaishnavas here discriminated. There was one devotee from one of the Gaudiya monks. Later he took sannyas. So he told me, you know, I asked your Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, do you eat the food they cooked? How you can eat that? Then Prabhupada said, Chaitanya Siddhamrita says, if you surrender unto Krishna, he becomes pure. You have to accept him. So once he is pure, then when he cooks, Krishna accepts the offering. It becomes really Krishna Prasad. And I eat that which is really Krishna Prasad. So, for some reason, people have these kind of problems. They look at it, they do a background check. There's a time when you should do background check, and there's a time when you should not do a background check. There are certain types of things you should not check. You should check whether their understanding is pure, whether their desires are pure. All these things we should check. What we should not check is what is their birth, what is their background, what they did 10 years back. If they have surrendered unto Krishna now. If they surrendered unto Krishna. Of course, even while surrendering, they may exhibit some of the features that they are trying to give up. We should be tolerant. If we can tolerate ourselves, why not tolerate others? Sri Caitanya Narayana. Therefore, Sri Caitanya had his devotees appear in all different countries. प्रभुर धाम नवद्वीपे आशिया प्रभु संकीर्तन लीला सहाय रूपे सकल भक्ते एकत्र सम्मिलन. So they all assembled in Navadvip Dham, which is the abode of their Lord, and they assisted their Lord's Sankirtan pastimes. In this way, all of them assembled together. Notice that they were all of different rasas also internally. They're all of different rasas, but they all work together and cooperate together. Nobody tells Srivastava, I will not look at your face. Nobody commits offenses like that. They don't say, he is a Radha Krishna. They don't do all this consideration. Even everywhere, throughout Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, you will see this. Rup Sanatan, Rupa Goswami, he writes one beautiful verse. Lord Chaitanya is so happy. He shows it to Ramananda Rai. Then they make Rupa Goswami recite it in the presence of Advaita Acharya, in the presence of Nityananda Prabhu, and so many devotees, Haridas Thakur. So Rupa Goswami doesn't say, he is Mahavishnu. Why I should go to Mahavishnu? I am only Krishna Bhakta. I am Radha Krishna Bhakta. It is his Balaram. It is his Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma. I don't know. All the stupidities they don't do. No. Because in the spiritual world, everybody respects. All those who are devoted to Krishna are devoted to those who are devoted to Krishna. They have their particular rasa. That is all between them and Krishna. That's all. But they respect all those who are devoted to Krishna. Nanasthane avatirna vela bhaktagon navadipe asi savar phailom milo. Although the devotees appeared in various places, they all met together in Navadip. Please refer to the commentary on verse 32. Navadip. Navadipe hoibo. Hoibo. Yes. Prachin Bangla. Navadipe hoibo Prabhu avatar. Otaye Navadipe milon savar. Because the Lord would appear in Navadip. The devotees all gathered together there. Shri Navadip is considered the most glorious abode in the entire universe. For on one hand, Shri Navadip is the birthplace of Shri Gausunda, the personification of love of God. And on the other hand, innumerable associates of the Lord who are able to purify the entire world were also present there. Since the wonderful sweet prema of Vrindavan was hidden, the 6 Goswamis and their followers lived in Sri Vrindavan and broadcast Lord Krishna's eternal pastimes on the order of Shri Gausunda. Similarly, during the time of Shri Gausunda, many devotees came from various places to Shri Navadip and assisted the Lord in his kirtan pastimes. Tatkalin Navadipir Avasthavarna. Trijagate Atulaniya Shri Gaurjanma Bhumi. Now we come across a description of the state of Navadip at that time. The land of birth of Shri Gauranga was incomparable all over the 3 worlds. Navadip Henogram Tribhuane Nai Yohi Avatirna Faila Chaitanya Bosai. There is no place in the 3 worlds like Navadip where Lord Sri Chaitanya appeared. There are 14 worlds in the material universe. Among them, Bhur, Bhuva and Swar are mainly inhabited by materialistic persons. Among these 3 worlds, Jambudvipa of this earth planet is the best. In Jambudvipa, Bharatavarsha is the best. In the land of Bharatavarsha, Gaud Mandal, which is non-different from Shri Rajmandal, is the best. And the Gaur Mandal, the most pious 9 islands of Shri Navadip are the best. There is no place superior to Navadip in the 3 worlds because Shri Gaurhari, the all-auspicious ocean of mercy, imparted love of God, which is rarely attained even by the demigods, to anyone and everyone without considering whether they were qualified recipients or not. Which means we just have to avoid offenses and accept it. That's all. Only one condition. But to avoid offenses simply means one should not be demoniac. That's what it means. In Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says that the 10 offenses are basically pashanda in nature. Pashanda means against Vedic dharma, adharma. And in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Bhagavata, chapter 16, towards the end, in chapter 16, in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is basically teaching we should avoid everything which is asuric, we should avoid that which is daiva. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that he indicates that asuric means each of the offense. Then he outlines each offense. He points out, because you are asuric, you offend Vaishnavas. Because you are asuric, you don't respect demigods. You are asuric, therefore you criticize spiritual master. You are asuric, you criticize the Veda. So it's all the 10 offenses are happening because it's asuric. So it is asuric. So at the very least, you have to avoid being asuric. That's all. Only one thing is required. Even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's a statement that there are 5 activities which have extreme power. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathurava, Srimurti, Shraddha. There, of course, that sadhu is a sadhu who has bhava bhakti. That kind of sadhu. So, regarding this, Rupa Goswami has said that Achintyaadbhuta viryesmin. Shraddha durestu panchake. He says these five, they have inconceivable, wonderful power by very nature. By very nature. There are certain things which have power by very nature. Just like the sun is very hot by nature. Ice, very cold by nature. Similarly, the holy name of Krishna, Bhagavatam, or the Dham. So they all have power by that very nature. So it is not surprising that when you touch ice, you feel cold. It is because it is the very nature. But he says, Sadhya, the effect will be perceived by those who are inoffensive, those who are not offensive. That is the only thing that is required. They don't even have to have Shraddha, he says. Shraddha durestu panchake. They don't have to have faith or respect even. They just have to not avoid offense. They have to not commit offense. That's all. Just avoid the 10 offenses, or for deity worship, just avoid the 32 or whatever deity worship offenses. Seva para. We avoid offenses. We come in touch with them back immediately. How much more so it is when we are dealing with everything connected to the most Audarya form of the Supreme Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no place superior to Navadip in the three worlds, because she Gaur Hari, the all auspicious ocean of mercy, imparted love of God, which is rarely attained even by the demigods, to anyone and everyone without considering whether they were qualified recipients or not. Therefore, the glories of Shri Navadip are factually incomparable and matchless. I'll stop with this.
One important thing to note is, in there is this there's a nice book by Sri Giriraj Maharaj. It's the story of the ISKCON Juhu temple's construction, how it came about. Prabhupada wanted a book written on that. So that when it later comes to my mind also. There's some very interesting things I learned from that. Name of book? I'll build you a temple. The Chuhu story. Nice book. And there's a lot of very fine instructions from Prabhupada. We learn so many things, so many things. So many things. So many things we learn. You can clearly see how focused Prabhupada was on distributing. Extremely important. Forgot. I'll remember. Next class, I'll say. Okay. Chat. Any questions? Okay, everyone can hear.
Prabhu, can I ask?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Regarding this Maya percentage, we hear that Niraparad Bhajan style, the offenses are not counted in Mayapur Dham. How much is that correct? Offenses are not counted in Mayapur.
Unintentionally, when we commit offenses, they are not counted. But intentionally, when we commit offenses, then we are we will be purified. Lord Chaitanya has his way of purifying. Take, for instance, somebody like Devananda Pandit. He was a Mayavadi professional teacher of Bhagavatam or reciter of Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya has often stated that Mayavadis are great offenders unto Krishna's lotus feet. So he was committing offenses, and in fact, Lord Chaitanya at one point came next to his house and was simply screaming at him. But then we also see that he did some service to Vakreshwar Pandit, not some intellectual activity.
he did some service to Vakreshwar Pandit. Vakreshwar Pandit used to dance during kirtans. And somehow or other, Devananda Pandit did some service to Vakreshwar Pandit. From that, his Krishna consciousness began. Until it reached the point that later, actually, Devananda Pandit had committed some offense to Srivas Thakur also, if I remember correctly. That was rectified. And then Devananda surrendered unto Lord Caitanya. And then he became a full-fledged devotee, teaching Bhagavatam in the right manner. So there we see. There we see. Then there is the case of Chapal Gopal, who offended Srivas Thakur. Lord Caitanya initially said that they'll never attain, they became a leper. I think Chapal Gopal became a leper also. You know? He became a leper. And then Lord Caitanya said that, yes, you'll suffer for millions of lifetimes, all these things. But then he also surrendered unto Srivas Thakur later on, begged for forgiveness. Srivas Thakur forgave him, and Lord Caitanya forgave him. But in Braj Mandal, we cannot play games like this. You do something wrong and gone. Nicely going to be punished. I think there also Krishna is forgiving, but his punishments are very severe. In Navadip Mandal, I think the Lord assumes a very compassionate attitude here.
So there is
definitely the Dham's effect we can perceive. Dham's effect we can see.
So there is a difference between offenses committed in Vraja and in Navadvip. There is a difference in reactions, how they're experienced.
Yeah, I think that all of us have, I mean, many of us have experienced it. We can testify to it.
Yeah, in Vraja, I think it's instant reactions. Immediately, even if you think about something, you get a reaction.
Actually, I did not know this, but in Manu Samhita, I came across, Manu Samhita is basically a Dharma Shastra. It is a primary Dharma Shastra. And it talks about the duties of the different varnas and ashramas and so on. But in the first and the last chapters, there are some basic, you can say, spiritual information. So in the last chapter of Manu Samhita, after Manu has explained the Varna and Ashrama system entirely, then he says that whatever activities we perform, according to that, if they're in line with Vedic Dharma, we are rewarded, otherwise we are punished. So then he says, then the consideration of sin and sinful reaction is in terms of what you think, what you speak, and what you do. So that is the first time, and that really alerted me. So if I think something wrong, I'm going to get sinful reactions for that. So that is, it appears to be a general principle. Now, we have been repeatedly told, I haven't yet come across a proper reference. Or if I have seen it, I must have forgotten it. That in Kali Yuga, what we think of, we don't get a sinful reaction for it, even if we think of committing a sinful activity. But in any case, thinking does have its effect. In the 10 offenses to the holy name, some of the offenses are purely based on thinking. They're purely based on thinking. Like, for instance, if I think about the scriptures, when I think that the scriptures are wrong, that becomes an offense. When I think that chanting the holy name is as good as karma kanda, it's an offense. Simply in thought itself, it's an offense. So I think that there are considerations of offense even from the perspective of thinking. But nevertheless, it is my own personal experience that in Navadip Mandal, the Lord, I think he punishes us, but he gives us a chance to progress. He gives us a chance to progress. Definitely is more affectionate here than outside. That much I can say.
Thank you, Prabhu. Can you just ask one small technical question regarding these spotted antelopes? I never understood about that part.
Okay. See, in
it's called the Krishna Sara. There's a particular type of deer called Krishna Sara deer. It is referred to as a spotted antelope. And I have come across Dharma Shastra statement itself, which talks about where are you supposed to live? You're supposed to live in a place which is auspicious and conducive for following dharma and avoiding adharma. So then they give some place, and they say the place it has to be a place where the Krishna Sara stag roams about, that one, and some criteria like that. So it looks like there is something. I don't know what it is, but in the 11th canto also you find a similar reference. So it looks like when you start following dharma, then you attract a certain environment. It's not that I can have slaughterhouses and all that around and then invoke a dharmic atmosphere there. There's definitely some relationship between the environment and the impact it has on our consciousness.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we'll close down. No questions. All right. On Shaikalpatrabhyo Shikapasandibhyo Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.